Hello, 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 and a big welcome to one and all, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to this trailer for the Self-Detective Club, a safe and supportive space for anyone wishing to explore themselves and their well-being. This is where we sneak into the pockets of professionals and academics and liberate the jewels of wisdom around what makes us well and what makes us unwell. This is also where we get to listen to small groups of everyday people sharing everyday insights on any given theme of the day. My name is Simon. I'm a counsellor and group facilitator living and working in the northeast of England. I'll be your host for a number of sessions, though I hope in time other people will step up and share their voice, share their knowledge, as well as help facilitate the voices of other people. Could this be you? My role, as I see it, is to encourage you to open yourself up to new information and new possibilities. I'm going to attempt to work out what your needs are and try to meet them, and generally be as engaging and as authentic as I can be. Together, as a club, we'll be looking to create and maintain a nurturing environment, far away from the madding crowds, far away from any hostilities we might face elsewhere in our lives. The subtitle of this podcast reads, "Is this useful to you?" It's a real statement of intent. We're saying, you're in control of the information you're receiving. You are the expert of you, and we trust you to work out which nuggets of knowledge would be useful to you and which wouldn't. So while we are continuously throwing information up into the air, you will hopefully be pick and mixing your way through the sessions, looking for the gold dust, looking for the bits that are most relevant to you and your life, whilst fast forwarding the bits that would be wasting your time. So what is this thing called self-detective? Well, self-detective is many things to many people. It's a home for self-empowered wellness. It's a self-directed learning platform. It's a discipline in its own right, the study of the self. It's a website with shed loads of free interactive tools and resources. It's a place to train people up so that they can become their own in-house wellness facilitators and run groups a bit like the ones we'll be running in this podcast. The term self-detective can also be used to describe a part of us that we have constructed as a force for good in our lives, a side to us that is looking out for ourselves, one that can spot potential threats to our well-being, a part of us that can help to future-proof our wellness through greater levels of awareness and everyday wisdom. Why do we need a club? Right now, anyone can go off and do some good work on themselves, by themselves, for themselves. But when we work in a group that has a shared interest, we can achieve so much more. We can gain hope. We can find out we're not alone with our struggles. We can bounce ideas off each other. We can come up with aha moments. We can feel of use when we are contributing. We can use other people in the group as role models. We get to experiment with our values and our identity and our social skills. We can feel good when we are working well as a unit. So yeah, clubs, groups, assemblies, whatever you want to call them, pretty amazing. So what is the ethos of the Self-Detective Club? Well, here's a list of things that we really are not. We're not an authority, nor do we want to be one. There are no hierarchies in this club. There are no judgments to be made here. No behaviorism with all that reward and punishment shenanigans. No manipulation, no conditioning, no cultural hegemony, no conformity, no hidden agendas, no product placements, no corporate whoring, no othernessing, no blaming or shaming, no shoulds, musts, oughts, no pathologizing, and no BS, hopefully. Instead, here's the sort of things we're aiming for. We're inviting you to improve the quality of your life through peer support and supported learning. We trust the person-centered model of people flourishing when they are given favorable conditions. We strive for universal wellness, wellness not at the expense of any other, but for one and all. We love, love, love mutual aid and the beautiful idea. We value freedom, equality, cooperation, inclusivity, self-empowerment, self-determination, and social justice. We welcome everyone to the club who is able to respect themselves and others, and who can help keep the space safe and nurturing. We hope to move conversations about mental health away from the reactive and deficit-based medical model and into a more proactive, wellness-focused model. And we're looking to do all of this in a playful, experiential, and entertaining way. So here's how it's expected to work in practice. I'm going to put something out there into the ether. Let's say it's on the theme of repairing ruptures in relationships. That's going to be part 1. Then I'm going to wait until a small band of people, say 3 or 4, contact me, either as a ready-made cohort or as random individuals happy to come together to discuss the theme in more detail, sharing their own thoughts and their own lived experience. Less interested to hear people who sound like experts or sound like they're at work. More interested in tapping into the rough-edged jewels and gems of everyday people who have something to say. And I'll be just as happy for people to invent made-up names if they wish, especially if this frees them up in any way. The main thing is the magic that happens when people come together, when the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Okay, so once this group work is recorded, it'll become part 2, and it'll merge together with part 1 to become a complete show. So here's a breakdown of some of the content you're likely to hear when you join the Self-Detective Club. The revolutions. Gil Scott-Heron wrote, "The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown." So that's one revolution. But what about the rest? How many revolutionary ideas might each of us need in order to reach our potential, in order to break free from the chains of oppression? Or something else you might want to do that is transformative and liberating. Self-detective exercises, creative exercises, expressive exercises, grounding exercises, exercises that bypass the brain, coping exercises, somatic exercises that help to regulate our nervous system, exercises that challenge us in all sorts of tentative and playful ways. The trouble with ... Here we get to cast a critical eye over things that exist in our everyday lives, in our communities, in our society. Not only will we be pulling them apart, we'll also be looking to see how we might provide solutions to some of these problems. Here are some possibilities for future episodes. The trouble with authority. The trouble with mental health. The trouble with honesty. The trouble with adults. The trouble with marketing. The trouble with legitimacy, and so on and so forth. Facilitator Forum. This is a platform for anyone who wishes to communicate with others in a person-centered way, rather than a dominatory way. This could be useful for people who facilitate group work, who work with vulnerable people, for parents, for partners, for anyone really. This could include themes such as how to create a safe space, how to hold a space without dominating it, and the responsibility of empaths. Open letters. Here is a chance for you to listen to people reading out letters that are reaching out to others in times of need. Hopefully, as well as being kindly, these letters will offer possible solutions or alternative ways of reducing distress and suffering. The first open letter is aimed at anyone who finds themselves in a dark place and is looking for a way out. It's called psychological suicide, an alternative to physical suicide. The people versus. For some people, having their day in court is incredibly important to them and their well-being. Yet at the same stroke, if you go down the path of attending an actual court within the criminal justice system, there are no guarantees that your story will be heard the way you want it to, or that you'll get the outcome you desire. So can we instead create our very own people's court, where individuals get a chance to have their testimony heard and validated by others, without fear of judgments or disbelief or sanctions? Can we start this thread off with the people versus injustice and see where we go from there? Lastly, under the banner, "Is this useful to you?" can we explore the following themes? How to study ourselves, the process of change, self-forgiveness, learning to unlearn, looking at our internal world, changing our mood through music, just to name but a few. So that's just about it. We hope you join in, and we hope you get something from the club. And if you would like to be part of any group that discusses an issue, let me know. If you are already part of a group that would like to discuss an issue, get in touch. If you have any suggestions for future topics, let me know. And if you have an issue that you yourself would like to turn into a podcast as part of the Self-Detective Club, then let's see if we can make it happen. Our email address is podcast@selfdetective.net. podcast@selfdetective.net. On the very first show, we'll be exploring the subject of wellness. We'll be asking if there is anything more important than wellness, as well as working out, in general terms, what makes us well and what makes us unwell. So until next time, all that remains for me to say is that the music on this show comes from a northeast band called the Samfires. Take it away.